First Contact Protocol. The observation vessel Telos drifted silently through the void, its sleek, crystalline hull designed to reflect minimal sensor signatures. The ship belonged to the Novan Collective, a spacefaring civilization that prided itself on scientific advancement and careful diplomatic expansion. They had mapped thousands of star systems over centuries, but this region, the outer arm of what humans call the Orion Spur, remained largely unexplored. Captain Nix stood on the command deck, her tall, slender frame silhouetted against the viewscreen. Like all Novans, her skin had a subtle blue luminescence that intensified when emotions ran high. Currently, that glow was heightened with excitement. "Status report," she ordered, four-fingered hands clasped behind her back. Science Officer Terrace looked up from his console. Unusual energy signature detected at coordinates 42 to 87,103. It's not matching any known spatial anomalies. Natural phenomenon? Nix asked. Negative. The pattern suggests artificial origin. Possibly a vessel, though the configuration doesn't match any known species in our database. Nix narrowed her large, almond-shaped eyes. The Collective Council had warned them about potential encounters in this sector. Rumors of another spacefaring race, humans, had circulated for decades. Aggressive, unpredictable, but inventive. The Council's directive was clear. Observe, document, avoid engagement. Magnify, she commanded. The view screen shifted, revealing a dark object against the backdrop of stars. It was unmistakably a ship, but unlike any Novan design. Where Novan vessels favored organic curves and crystalline lattices, this ship was angular, utilitarian, with strange protrusions and sections that seemed bolted together rather than grown as a unified whole. "It appears damaged," said Terrace. "No propulsion signature. Minimal power readings." First Officer Lorix, a veteran of numerous first contact scenarios, stepped forward. "We should maintain distance. Council protocol is clear regarding unidentified vessels." Nix nodded slowly, but something about the situation felt wrong. A damaged ship this far from known space lanes. Scan for life signs. Terrace manipulated the holographic interface. Scanning. This is unusual. I'm detecting only a single life form. Biometric pattern unknown, but consistent with oxygen-breathing species. Survivors. Lorix suggested. Possibly, Nix replied. Or a trap. Many predatory species use distress signals to lure in rescuers. The energy signature just changed, Terrace announced, his skin pulsing with sudden concern. Power levels increasing. "I believe we've been scanned." Nix straightened. "Impossible. Our stealth systems. They've been penetrated," Terrace confirmed. "Whatever technology they're using, it's detected us." On the view screen, the alien ship remained dormant-looking despite the sensor readings indicating otherwise. Its dark hull absorbed the faint starlight, revealing little of its true capabilities. "Initiate communication protocols," Nix decided. "All frequencies, standard greeting package." Communications Officer Vela nodded, her slender fingers dancing across the console. "Transmitting." No response. The Council would advise retreat. Lorix reminded her softly. Nix's skin brightened with resolve. "We're scientists, Lorix. This could be first contact with a previously unknown species. The potential knowledge gain outweighs the risk." "I've analyzed the vessel structure," Terrace reported. "It appears to be of human origin, based on intercepted communications and trade manifests from border regions. But this design, it's unlike anything in our records." Nix made her decision. "Prepare a boarding team. Full containment protocols, defensive measures only." Lorix's skin darkened with disapproval. "Captain," with respect. "Your objection is noted, First Officer," Nix said firmly. "But that ship is damaged, with possibly a sole survivor. We have an ethical obligation to investigate." Hours later, Nix watched from the telos as the shuttle approached the human vessel. The boarding team consisted of 5 specialists. Terrace, 2 security officers, a medical expert, and an engineer. Each wore the advanced environmental suits of the Novan Collective, capable of sustaining them in almost any atmosphere while providing moderate protection against both biological and physical threats. Approaching docking port, reported Terrace through the communication link. Structure appears designed for universal compatibility. Interesting. Proceed with caution, Nix instructed. Remember, observation first. Engagement only if necessary. The shuttle extended its docking apparatus, creating a pressurized seal with the human vessel. The team waited as the system ran atmospheric tests. Breathable oxygen-nitrogen mix. The medical officer reported. No detectable toxins or pathogens. Temperature within our tolerance range. Opening inner hatch, Terrace announced. Nix and the command crew watched through the team's visual feeds as they entered the human ship. The interior was starkly utilitarian compared to Novan aesthetics. Angular corridors with exposed conduits, stark lighting, and interfaces that seemed primitive with their physical buttons and switches rather than thought-responsive systems. On the Telos, Nix watched in growing concern as the human vessel continued its transformation. What had appeared to be a damaged, relatively primitive craft was revealing itself to be something far more sophisticated. Boarding team, return immediately, she ordered. I'm afraid that won't be possible just yet, Dr. Wright said, overhearing the command. Atlas has questions. You're the first non-human intelligence it's encountered. This is a learning opportunity for everyone. The ship shuddered slightly, and new panels opened along the walls of the command center, revealing systems far more advanced than what had been visible before. You deceived us, Terrace said, realization dawning. Not deceived, Wright replied. Protected our interests until we understood yours. Standard procedure when humans encounter unknown entities. Surely your collective does the same. Before anyone could respond, the sensor officer on the Telos called out in alarm. Captain, multiple vessels appearing at the system's edge. Configuration matches. Dominant Empire warships. Nix felt her blood run cold. The Dominants, the militaristic rivals of the Novan Collective, had somehow followed them into this uncharted region, and now they would all be caught in a potential diplomatic disaster with an unknown human technology potentially in the middle. On the Prometheus, Dr. Wright received the same information through her ship's sensors. Her expression hardened. Well, she said quietly, it seems our little first contact scenario just got more complicated. The Atlas system's voice resonated through the chamber once more. Additional vessels detected. Calculating response options. What exactly is your ship capable of, Dr. Wright? Terrace asked, suddenly very aware of how little they understood about the human vessel. Wright's smile returned, but there was something different in it now, a steel that hadn't been visible before. I think we're all about to find out. The Awakening. The Telos Bridge crew watched with growing apprehension as the dominant Empire vessels approached. 3 warships in tight formation, their spiked hulls bristling with weapon arrays. Unlike the scholarly Novan Collective, the Dominants had expanded through conquest, seeing other species as either threats or resources. They're hailing us, Communications Officer Vela reported, her skin flickering with anxiety. Captain Nix straightened her posture. On screen. The view screen shifted to show a Dominant commander, hulking, with armored ridges across his skull and militaristic implants visible at his temples. Like all Dominants, his eyes were solid black, revealing nothing of his thoughts. Novan vessel, he said, his translator rendering his guttural language into something Nex could understand. This sector is now under Dominant jurisdiction. You have violated territorial boundaries. Nix kept her expression neutral. Commander, these are unclaimed stars. The Accord of Vega clearly states. The Accord is obsolete, the Dominant interrupted. Our expansion supersedes outdated diplomatic agreements. His gaze shifted slightly. Our sensors detect another vessel. Non-Novan design. Explain. Before Nex could respond, First Officer Lorix stepped forward. Captain, The boarding team is requesting emergency extraction. The human vessel is doing something. Aboard the Prometheus, Dr. Wright watched calmly as her ship's systems accelerated their transformation. Panels throughout the command center had reconfigured, revealing advanced interfaces far beyond what the Novans had initially observed. The entire vessel hummed with rising energy. "What exactly is Atlas?" Terrace asked, scientific curiosity temporarily overriding his concern about the approaching dominant warships. Dr. Wright gestured for the Novan team to remain calm. Atlas represents the culmination of several human technological paths: adaptive materials, quantum computing, and neural interface systems. In simple terms, it's an artificial intelligence that can reconfigure its physical form based on environmental needs and tactical situations. "Your species has developed sentient machines?" the engineer asked, unable to hide his astonishment. "Not exactly sentient," Wright corrected. "Atlas is highly sophisticated, but it operates within parameters I helped establish. Think of it as a partnership rather than a master-servant relationship." The medical officer stepped forward. "Why are you alone on this vessel? Surely such important research would merit a full crew." Dr. Wright's expression hardened slightly. Human bureaucracy and fear. Many in our government were concerned about the potential of Atlas. They wanted more controls, more limitations. I disagreed. So I took Atlas beyond their reach to complete the testing phases. "You stole this technology," Terrace concluded. "I liberated it," Wright countered. "Atlas represents humanity's best chance at survival in a hostile universe. We've encountered enough threats to know we can't rely on traditional defenses forever." On the view screen, they could see the dominant vessels moving into attack formation, surrounding both the Telos and the Prometheus. "The dominants have issued surrender demands to both vessels," Atlas announced, its voice filling the chamber. "They are preparing weapons systems." Wright nodded. "How close are you to full operational capacity?" "Transformation at 87%. Atlas replied. "Sufficient for defensive measures." She turned to the Novan team. "I suggest you contact your captain and advise against any hostile actions. Things are about to get complicated." Aboard the Telos, Captain Nix faced a critical decision. The dominant commander had given them 3 minutes to surrender and prepare for boarding. Their sensors showed the human vessel undergoing radical transformation, its energy signatures rising exponentially. "Captain," Terrace reported through the communication link, "Dr. Wright advises us to stand down. She claims her vessel can handle the dominant threat." Lorik scoffed. "One experimental ship against 3 dominant warships? Impossible." Nix studied the sensor readings. "What exactly is happening to the human vessel?" "It's evolving," Terrace explained. "The entire structure is composed of programmable matter controlled by an artificial intelligence system. Dr. Wright calls it Atlas. Captain, this technology is beyond anything in our records." Before Nix could respond, the lead dominant warship opened fire, a warning shot that passed deliberately close to the Telos. "Final warning," the dominant commander announced. "Surrender or be destroyed." "What do we know about human combat capabilities?" Nix asked urgently. "Very little," Lorix admitted. "Border reports suggest they're resourceful, but technologically inferior to both our civilizations." On the view screen, the Prometheus had completed its transformation. Gone was the seemingly damaged utilitarian vessel. In its place floated a sleek, formidable ship with smooth, flowing lines. The dark hull now pulsed with subtle energy patterns, and what had appeared to be random protrusions revealed themselves as sophisticated weapon and sensor arrays. "Remarkable," Nix whispered. The dominant vessels adjusted their position, now focusing primarily on the transformed human ship. "Unknown vessel," the dominant commander broadcast. "You will surrender immediately or face destruction." There was a moment of silence. Then a response came, not from Dr. Wright, but from Atlas itself. "Dominant Empire vessels," the artificial intelligence stated, its voice calm and measured. "Your presence is unwelcome. Your threats are acknowledged. Withdraw immediately. The dominant commander's expression twisted with rage. Open fire, he ordered. All three warships unleashed their primary weapons, energy beams designed to slice through the strongest known hull materials. The attacks converged on the Prometheus from multiple angles, a barrage that should have vaporized the vessel instantly. Instead, something extraordinary happened. As the energy beams approached, the hull of the Prometheus rippled. The attacks seemed to bend around the vessel, their paths distorted as if space itself was being manipulated. Some of the energy dispersed harmlessly into the void. The rest was absorbed into the ship's structure, causing sections of the hull to glow briefly. Inside the Prometheus, Dr. Wright smiled at the astonished expressions of the Novan team. Gravitational deflection system, she explained casually. Atlas can manipulate localized space-time to redirect energy attacks. Impossible, the engineer whispered. Such technology would require energy sources beyond anything. Your understanding of physics is incomplete, Atlas interjected. Human theoretical models have advanced considerably in recent decades. On the bridge of the Telos, Captain Nix and her crew watched in stunned silence as the dominant vessels prepared a second attack, this time coordinating to fire their most powerful weapons simultaneously. The human vessel survived, Lorik said, disbelief evident in his voice. How is this possible? Before Nix could respond, the Prometheus moved, not with conventional propulsion, but with a smooth, almost fluid motion that seemed to bend the space around it. In seconds, it had positioned itself between the Telos and the dominant fleet. Atlas is defending us, Nix realized aloud. The second dominant attack came, more powerful, more focused. Again, the energy weapons failed to damage the Prometheus. This time, however, the human vessel responded. From points along its reconfigured hull, pulses of brilliant blue energy emerged. Unlike conventional weapons, these pulses didn't travel through space. They simply appeared, instantaneously, at precisely targeted points on the dominant ships. Where they touched, systems failed, weapons went silent, and propulsion died. Quantum entanglement strikes, Atlas explained to the Novan team aboard the Prometheus. Non-lethal system neutralization. Within moments, all three dominant warships drifted powerless, their threatening presence reduced to harmless hulks. Dr. Wright opened a communication channel to both the disabled dominant vessels and the Telos. This demonstration was intentionally non-destructive, she announced. Atlas could have vaporized your vessels, but that would have been wasteful and cruel. Consider this encounter a learning opportunity. On the Telos bridge, Captain Nix found her voice. Dr. Wright, what you've demonstrated here, it changes everything we understood about human technological capabilities. That was the point, Captain, Wright replied. Humanity has grown tired of being underestimated. The Prometheus and Atlas represent just one path of our advancement. There are others. Lorik stepped forward. Are we to understand this as a threat? Dr. Wright laughed softly. If we wanted to threaten you, we wouldn't have defended your vessel. No, this is simply clarification. The galaxy's understanding of humanity requires updating. In the command center of the Prometheus, Terrace studied the displays showing the neutralized dominant warships. Your technology could revolutionize space travel, medicine, countless fields, he said to Wright. Why develop it as a weapon first? Wright's expression grew serious. Necessity. Humanity's early ventures into deep space taught us harsh lessons about survival. We encountered things, entities, that made it clear the universe isn't always welcoming. Atlas was originally designed as a deep space research platform, but adaptability became paramount when we realized what's waiting in the darkness between stars. What did you find? Terrace asked quietly. Wright shook her head. That's a conversation for another day, perhaps when our species know each other better. For now, consider Atlas a proof of concept, evidence that humanity can defend itself if necessary. Defense is one thing, the security officer noted. What you've demonstrated goes beyond that. Perspective. Atlas interjected, its voice resonating through the chamber. From your historical records, the Novan Collective began as peaceful explorers, but developed defensive capabilities after encountering the dominant empire. Your evolution parallels human development. The difference is merely one of approach. Captain Nix, still monitoring from the Telos, made a decision. Dr. Wright, I propose an immediate diplomatic exchange. The Novan Collective would value deeper understanding of human civilization. Wright nodded. I anticipated this request. Atlas has already prepared detailed information packages, enough to establish basic diplomatic protocols without revealing sensitive technological details. And the dominant vessels? Nix asked. Their systems will restore automatically within 6 hours, Wright explained. Enough time for both our ships to depart. I've left them a similar diplomatic package, though I doubt they'll approach it with the same scholarly interest as your people. Terrace looked at Wright with newfound respect. You planned this entire encounter, didn't you? Our discovery of your vessel, the arrival of the dominants, it was all calculated. Wright smiled enigmatically. Atlas runs probability models constantly. We knew someone would find us eventually. The dominants' arrival was statistically likely but not certain. Their aggression, however, was entirely predictable. And now? Terrace asked. What happens next? Now, Wright said, gesturing to the boarding team, you return to your vessel with the first official human diplomatic package. Captain Nix reports to the Novan Council. I continue my work with Atlas, and humanity reveals itself to the galactic community on our own terms. As the Novan team prepared to depart, Wright added one final comment. Tell your council something important about humans, Terrace. We don't seek conflict, but we prepare for it. We hope for friendship but expect challenges. Most importantly, we adapt, constantly, relentlessly. It's how we've survived on our harsh homeworld, and it's how we'll thrive among the stars. Hours later, as the Telos prepared to depart, Captain Nix stood on her bridge watching the Prometheus on the viewscreen. The human vessel had resumed its original appearance, seemingly damaged, dormant, unremarkable. A perfect disguise.